Oh well, it's been a month since my last video. Pretty much struggling with the depression. Haven't been able to snap myself out of it, so I haven't really wanted to put myself in front of the camera or do anything like this. Sometimes you snap out of it quickly, and sometimes it just hangs around like a bad smell and keeps you down. We left Perth. We had a great weekend in Perth, and we started heading north. We were heading up the west coast of Australia now. We didn't get too far before the whole thing just turned to shit. We were heading for Geraldton. I did a rear wheel bearing about 50 k's out of Geraldton. So we managed to, we limped the bike. We were in the middle of nowhere, there was nothing we can do, so we limped the bike in. It took us a long time. We limped the bike into town, and we managed to find a bike shop, Sun City Motorcycles in Geraldton, replaced the wheel bearing for us. And so we booked into a motel, and then things just got worse, really. We booked ourselves into this motel, and it had secure gates and everything like that. Was, you know, they advertised it as a safe, secure place to stay. And you had to have a key pass to get into the driveway, to get our bikes in. So we went in through the secure gate, parked out the back, went into our unit. All the units are in squares. They've got two doors, so you go through from the driveway and you go out into it's a big courtyard that's all fenced off with secure gates and whatnot. So we went out there, and we're just sitting there working what our game plan was going to be. We're getting the bike fixed and stuff. We went out the back to the bikes to through the unit and back out to the car park just to grab a couple of things off the bikes. We'd have been gone about 3 minutes maybe, and Owen had left his phone on the table where we'd been sitting, where our beers were. Going back, the phone was gone. We had one of them phone cases that you put all your credit cards and your license and all that kind of stuff in, so he lost everything. He had no ID, no phone, no money, no nothing. And well, so much for the secure motel. They had little side gates to all the courtyards. Like, there was a lot of units there, so there was at least three courtyards that we saw, all with these little side gates with combination locks on them, and none of them were locked. None of them were shut. So anyone can just walk in off the street, and there's a lot of rat bags up there in Geraldton. A lot of crime. The crime's pretty bad. And the motel, it was a motel and a pub, and they had security cameras everywhere around the pub and the bottle shop, and there was more security cameras in the bottle shop than I've ever seen anywhere in my life, I reckon. And apparently that still doesn't stop the thieving. There was no cameras working out where our courtyard was, so got nothing on film or anything. There was just nothing we could do, you know. The coppers, they didn't even come down. You know, you rang the coppers, and you know, they took a statement over the phone and said, yeah, well, there's not much we can do about it. Anyway, so O was pretty peeved about that. I never filmed any of this. We're kind of both had the shits, so I wasn't doing any filming or anything like that. So it took us the whole next day to well, it's not real easy to get ID when you've got no ID. We spent a lot of time at the police station, and Owen managed to get his girlfriend to send him over a copy of his passport. And so the police, they did a stat deck thing to say that Owen was who he said he was, so that he could take that to the bank. And I'm sure probably the hardest thing about it was his phone. His phone was insured, but getting it replaced, it took all day. It was just a real hassle. That I don't think they really wanted to do it. And they mucked him around. They gave him a bad SIM card with his new phone, and so we had to go back there. It was like we were there all day. And the whole time we're both getting around two up on my bike, because his bike was in the shop getting fixed, and you know, they thought it would only take a couple of hours to fix it. And by the time we spent all day at the cop shop, the bank, the Telstra shop, getting another phone, surprisingly enough, the bank was the easiest place. He went in there and he knew his PIN numbers and all that kind of stuff, so they just, yeah, look, no worries, there you go. Then by about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we're back at the bike shop, and they were still trying to get this thing back together, and obviously didn't do much work on Harleys, but anyway, it was a whole wasted day, and had us both pretty peeved off about what had happened, and that the motel they weren't helpful, the cops weren't helpful. We got it sorted in the end. The motel had said to us, oh look, you know, we're really sorry. Well, we kind of laughed at the start, because they said, oh look, we'll give you a free night next time you're in town. And I thought, we live on the other side of Australia, the chances of us being back here is probably never. But it took so long to get the bike done and everything else done that we thought, well no, look, it's getting too late to take off now, so we might as well stay. And so we rang up the motel and says, yeah look, we'll have that free night. The manager says, no mate, we're booked out. Got no room. That didn't help our mood much. Things that can change. You know, it was one day, we'd had a great time in Perth, went to Geraldton, we'd had a terrible time in Geraldton. And at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we said, well, there's not much accommodation around here, so let's just head up the road somewhere. And if we pitch the tents, or we find somewhere. And anyway, 40 minutes up the road, there's a place called Norseman. And it's a great little place. And we stayed there at the Middle Hotel, the Norseman Hotel Motel, the Middle Pub they call it. There's 3 pubs there, but that's about all there is there. The owners were bikers. It was biker friendly. And you know, we didn't even have to lock our bikes up or nothing. You know, their bikes were just undercover, but they weren't locked away or nothing like that. There's no crime here. There's nothing. And they gave us a little tips as well. You know, for the rest of your trip, do yourself a favour and only stay in places that don't have a centre link. There's no centre link, mate. There's no bludgers, there's no thieves, there's nothing. Everyone's working, because otherwise they're not there, so they're not going to pinch your stuff. So we took that on board, and we tried to stay in you know, smaller places as possible the rest of the trip, stay away from centre links. Now, we had a great time there, and something pretty amazing happened actually. We one of the reasons we were doing this trip around Australia was so Owen can ride our mate Marty's Road King around. Well, he was battling cancer, and we were sending him videos and pictures and everything, like I've said in my other videos. Well, the owners of the Norseman Hotel, the bloke there, he had a brain tumour. Really, they weren't giving him much time either. And they said, well look, there's 3 blokes on Harleys riding from Darwin down to here. You're bound to run into them on the road, so say g'day. And we thought, wow, you know, these guys are basically doing similar to what we're doing, trying to cheer a mate up that's got a life battle on. But we thought, oh, you know, it's I don't know what it was like 3,000 or 4,000 kilometres in between here and Darwin. The chances of us being on the same part of the road or at the same stop at the same time, well, would be pretty rare. We kept our eyes out, but we didn't think we'd see them, but we just thought it was a great story, and they were great people. Oh, well, let's get into the video anyway. I managed to get some footage of this guy skulking around in our courtyard the next morning after we got robbed. As you can see, the side gate wide open. We'd gone around and made sure they were all shut before we went to bed the night before, shut and locked. We got up and they were all open again in the morning, so someone's opened it up to make it easy for people to wander through. This guy was going through the ashtrays for cigarette butts and stuff like that, just skulking around, bit of an opportunist. He seemed took off when he seen me sitting there with my camera out. But anyway, Norseman was a great place. Yeah, it'd be pretty good to sit outside and eat your dinner though. You're down below the road and the road's right on a bend, and the trucks come down, they look like they're coming straight in through you. Out the back, you know, like nothing's locked up or anything. It was all pretty cool. They give me a sticker, a pub sticker for me fairing on my bike too, so that was pretty cool. And then so we had a much better night there, cheap accommodation as well. And then we headed up towards Carnarvon was our next stop. We did a bit of off-road on the way up there when we crossed the 26th parallel. It was it's a pretty arid place. You know, they talk about the Nullarbor. There's not much of the desert out there, but at least it's got the sea on one side of it. Going up the west coast, you're not really on the coast. You're about 30 or 40 kilometres in, you know, at the closest most of the time. So you don't get to see the sea or anything like that. It's just long straight roads and desert, just nothing. But yeah, we did a bit of off-road and went up on this big hill and took a bit of footage around the place just to see, give you an idea of what it was like. When we got to Carnarvon, it looked pretty similar to Geraldton, so we thought, well, you know, we weren't going to stay there, so we had about 70 or 80 k's north of Geraldton, Carnarvon, sorry, and we stayed. It was that windy and the ground was that hard we couldn't get a tent peg in. We had to tie our tents to a fence and to our bikes so they didn't blow away. So that was interesting. The place was pretty crowded in the morning, but this is just one of those free stops on the side of the road. Had toilets and everything there, so and barbecue area and all that was pretty cool. These places are all over Australia and they cost nothing, so if you're not afraid of camping, there's no real need to stay in a city really, or town, because these things are all over the place. You just got to make sure you got your own water, because not many of them have got drinkable water. We're off again. So anyway, tune in next time when we Port Headland and Karratha as we head on up north. Please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. With YouTube's algorithms and however they work, if we don't get subscribers, our videos don't get shown. They're pretty hard to find, so please subscribe to us. It really helps us out and it helps us get known and helps these YouTubes get seen by people. So subscribe, help us out.